Ladies and gentlemen,
The Kids in the Room Podcast!
Kids in the Room Podcast!
That's right, that's right.
Brought to you by Move Faces TV. Let's go!
Woo! All right. Hey, guys, we've got Charles in the building today. Charles, what's going on?
What's up, Varez? I am coming at you from fabulous Los Angeles, California. I am Charles St. Anthony, comedy writer and creative entrepreneur.
Amazing.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, man, amazing. Thank you for coming on this show. Thank you. Hands down. So, what brings you here today, man? What are you working on? Tell us about your book.
I have written a series of humorous short reads on the gig economy, and the third of them was just released. It's called Beverly Hills Postmate. And what I did was I used the app Postmates to explore the food culture of Beverly Hills, which is a place that everybody knows, but nobody knows anything really specific about it. You know, what do you know about Beverly Hills? Let me ask you that.
Beverly Hills, besides, going to a friend's bachelor party and, blowing, $500 for a table of duck, thus is it. And a couple of parties with Jamie Foxx. That's about it. That's as far as I know of Beverly.
So basically, you know it as a place with some expensive restaurants, some brand name stores.
And some wild parties. There's some wild parties there.
Too.
I've been to some wild parties. I went to one party a while back ago, and it was like, I think it was like a hustler party I was invited to, and it was Ron Jeremy's and a bunch of other wild people in there. It was really, really, really fun. It was interesting.
Very fun. Well, so in my new work, Beverly Hills Postmate, I took the app Postmates and I used it to explore Beverly Hills and its food culture. And I made a lot of interesting discoveries along the way. For example, do you know the original name of the Beverly Hills area?
No, I don't. Tell us.
All right. So before it was a city, it used to be called El Rodeo de las Aguas. So gathering of the waters. And so that is, I give kind of a comedic rundown of Beverly Hills history in it because I didn't know it either. I grew up in Kansas City. I have no idea about Beverly Hills, besides what you see on TV. And so it was originally after the Native Americans. Well, I guess you could say the Native Americans were there first, and then the Spanish came in. And the first person who owned the land was an Afro-Latina woman named Maria Rita Valdez Villa. And she was having fun there in El Rodeo de las Aguas until the Native Americans attacked her rancho. And she was all, fuck this, and she dipped, and she sold the land, and it just kind of sat around for about 50, 60 years. And then eventually, once movie stars started moving there, that's when we get to know it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I mean, this almost sounds like the incubation period of Mexico when it first started off with Yanga and et cetera. Yeah, very interesting in Veracruz. If you know about that.
Yeah, I know bits and pieces. I'm not an expert, but well, I give a short history rundown of Beverly Hills and Beverly Hills Postmate, and one of the funny things I had while releasing this book is the book comes out, and I'm trying to get some publicity for it, and I get a message from someone who's affiliated with Beverly Hills, the city, and they're like, I had included there's kind of a sign, the Beverly Hills sign,
of course,
that people know.
Yes, we all know the Beverly Hills sign.
So it turns out that sign is trademarked, and I'd been working on this book a year. I had just been through. I worked with a team of editors and designers, and I'm like, a lot went on. It's a very short read.
Okay, so I'm gonna interject for a second. Which designer didn't know that might be copyrighted? Or trademark, excuse me.
I'm not going to blame the designer. I'm going to say
was it you?
that
was it your fault, Charles?
I didn't do my research.
It was your fault.
But I think it's kind of messed up because, the Beverly Hills sign, we should be able to use it. It's on public land, right? It's maintained by taxpayer money. not being able to use the Beverly Hills sign in something is sort of like, if New York City were to say you can't use the Statue of Liberty's image.
Right, because it's something that
Paris,
seems common. Right?
Paris said you can't use the Eiffel Tower. I mean, aside from Lisa Vanderpump, the Beverly Hills sign is the best known landmark in Beverly Hills.
Of course. Or in the world.
So it's... I just thought it was funny because they didn't tell me, like, I was talking with some attorneys at the Beverly Hills, or not, I didn't talk directly with attorneys. I was talking with the city employees, and I'm like, well, it's trademark. Can I have permission to use it since we're paying for it? It's our tax money.
Right.
And they didn't say, like, they were all very polite and nice about it, but it was like, well, we're, at first glance, it doesn't look like something that we would approve, that we'd give permission for. And so I was like, that's messed up because, they're trademarking the Beverly Hills sign, and, that's just going on some Beverly Hills coffee mugs and a bunch of, made in China tchotchkes that are at some tacky Beverly Hills gift store. And here I've got this book, it might look kind of goofy from the cover, but, a year of work went into it. And I would say that, I don't know.
Beverly Hills is interesting. I think, like, it's kind of cool. Like, I don't know. I think I would think like this, Charles, is like, if you think about Beverly Hills being Beverly Hills, why wouldn't they trademark Beverly Hills? It's just Beverly Hills. That's something Beverly Hills would do. Trademark Beverly Hills.
I mean...
But you wouldn't think of it, I get it.
You wouldn't think of it because our money is paying for it. Why are they allowed to engage in this for-profit licensing business on the taxpayer's dime? I don't know, I'm not privy to the information of where the profit from that licensing program is going, but I'm going to guess it's not 100% going to the people living in the Los Angeles area. And there's, is this really a good use of our taxpayer money when there's 58,000 homeless people in Los Angeles County?
Yeah, there's a lot of homeless people, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's just some dude pocketing the money from using this Beverly Hills image that you and I are paying for.
Of course.
So anyway, that's my diatribe on the Beverly Hills sign because
I mean, even a weird thing too is like our prisons, right? They're publicly traded. So it's like prisons publicly traded, they're a business.
Right.
So it's like Beverly Hills being, trademark may not be such of a bad idea or too far of a stretch when you think of the United States.
From their perspective, it's a great idea.
We're a capitalist country, right?
We're a capitalist country. But if you had written a book about Paris and the city of Paris said, no, you can't use the Eiffel Tower on your cover, what would you think?
I'd be a little bit upset, Charles.
Yeah. Well,
I'm calling Mom.
So what it came down to is I wanted to go ahead promoting my book without, worries about copyright infringement hanging over my head. So I went ahead and changed it. I was like, this work is strong enough that it stands on its own with or without the Beverly Hills sign. But I think it's a funny side story to the creation of this third of my gig economy short reads.
Sweet. So tell me more about the gig economy short reads. Tell me more about this.
So I used to live, so I understand you're in the Silicon Valley area, correct?
This is true. Silicon Valley.
True. So about
5 years in
ago,
LA. 5 years in LA though. Let's not forget the LA 5 years.
So I was working at one of those big tech companies in
San Francisco? Where? San Jose?
What's that?
Where? San Francisco or San Jose?
Near San Jose. And
we call it Man Jose.
Man Jose. I called it Hoser.
Oh wow, that's even funnier. What's the hoser? Where'd you get that one?
I don't know. That's just what I called it. I was living in Sunnyvale, which I called Sunnyvale.
Wow.
And, I had just finished the third contracting job at one of those big tech companies, and I'm like, I used to have a more exciting life in Japan, because I was on TV and working in radio and all this stuff, and I'm doing these jobs that aren't leading to like a full-time position at, you know, say Apple or Google or whatever. And I'm like, you know, I just wanted sunshine and the beaches and some Hollywood. And that's when I was just like, I'm going to peace out and I'm going to go to LA. I'm just going to bring my bag of tricks and see what happens. So I was like, all right, after that contract ended, I was like, how do I, just to save money to move to LA, I decided to do Uber in Silicon Valley. And I was like, you know, that's a good subject for, I had already released 2 books at the time. I was like, all right, this is the next book. We're going to do Uber in Silicon Valley. I released it. It's called Uber Diva. And
that's hilarious. Uber Diva? Why a diva?
Why diva? I just thought it sounded funny. And I almost didn't write it. There's, I went to this Irish pub near San Jose in Silicon Valley, and I sketched the covers of my books before I have the illustrator make them. And I had sketched the cover of Uber Diva, and I'm like, I don't know if I should put this out or not. And the bartender at the Irish pub, she started busting out laughing when she saw the cover. And I was like, all right, if the cover is getting a laugh, then I should just go ahead and
put this out. You got to put it out. You got to put it out. The cover's getting a laugh, right?
Right. So I spent about a year on Uber Diva before I pieced out of LA, chuck deuces, go down. And where I wanted to experience was DTLA, downtown LA by Staples Center. And because that was really, like, I thought that was the interesting story. You know, it used to be this area known for urban blight, and now it's used to be known for Skid Row, you know, right? People didn't used to go to downtown LA, but now it's being revitalized, and there's just kind of this culture clash of the desperate people on Skid Row and the gentrification creeping in, and, you know, there's a lot of art, and, you know, Hollywood's just up the street. So I thought it was a reflection of the transition of Los Angeles is going through right now. So
that's interesting. Cause like for me, like when I lived in LA, going downtown LA was just like something I typically try to avoid, to be honest with you. There was really not much going on, but some shady stuff.
What year are you talking about?
So LA, I think I got in LA like around 2010, right?
2010, yeah.
Kind of.
I would say
kind of funny in downtown LA, kind of sketch.
Yeah, it was definitely pretty sketch back then, and it didn't start to become kind of a thing till like 2015. DTLA, like a certain portion of it, like, you know, it became very artsy and kind of people who want that edgy, artsy Los Angeles experience that isn't as, you know, sugar-coated as the West Side with Santa Monica. You know, if you want something a little grittier, you head to DTLA. So after Uber Diva, my next work is called DTLA Hustler, and I was taking a look at the changes going on in downtown Los Angeles.
Right.
Which led us to Beverly Hills Postmate.
Interesting.
Sorry if I'm like overloading you with information.
Oh no, not so much information, just a little bit. That's interesting that you mentioned that you know downtown LA is like the new area that you feel is like kind of like the new artsy area. When I lived in LA, it was NoHo. That was the whole, you know, new
North
artsy
Hollywood.
place. Yeah, NoHo was that, you know. I used to live off of Lincolnshire and Magnolia at the
I
Academy
can't even
Village.
afford North Hollywood nowadays. It's so expensive.
It was expensive then.
Oh, yeah?
I lived in a penthouse in NoHo. Like right downstairs, there was a Starbucks right there in the corner, and there was Academy Center, and then I lived in Academy Village right there, Caddy Corner. And all those YouTube, you know, or not YouTube stars, all the whole Vine stars, they all came from that same block. And like some of them I used to have down there, I used to do big red carpets. And so a lot of those people used to work for me doing red carpets. Some of them are now big YouTubers. Yeah, off
Very
of Vine.
cool. Well, when Beverly Hills Postmate takes off, I'm gonna have to stay. I don't know. Maybe not NoHo. Maybe I'll do Marina Del Rey or something.
So you also mentioned too, and I wanted to ask this. You said you used to work in a tech company.
Yeah, I worked for
Which one?
a few of them. I was at Twitter for a year. I was at Google. I did a little bit at Apple and Cupertino.
What'd you do at Twitter?
At Twitter, I was a, what is it? We were contractors that worked, we would be trained on a bunch of different queues to work on, like copyright enforcement. And do you know what DMCA is?
No, I don't.
Okay, so DMCA is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
Oh, yes. Okay, sorry. Yes, I do know that.
So this is the way we can have companies like YouTube or Twitter survive, is that it puts the onus of protecting your copyrights on the company. So, like, if you are posting Taylor Swift songs up on Twitter, it's up to Taylor Swift's company to find you and ask you to take it down.
Right, like
because otherwise,
like
you know,
BMI
everybody's
and things like that.
infringing, like every meme you put out, every song you post, you know, that could be considered copyright infringement.
Right.
But that was the copyright enforcement was just one of many things I did at Twitter. Like we had I must have been trained at eight or nine queues. Like there was the abuse queue, like if people are harassing each other. There was the violent queue. There was the private information. Like if you posted my phone number on Twitter, they're going to remove that, right? Because there's a group of people that are watching over this. Yeah, and
Quality check.
You know, since we signed an NDA before,
You can't say much. You can't say much.
I can't say shit.
Yeah. Speaking too much. I mean, honestly, what's so funny,
will just
Charles,
say
is
this,
like
though.
I've literally seen some people working at certain companies who have like literally just like
I guess I was at Google first, and we were doing like app review. We would like download new apps and updates of apps and test them for different bugs they might have.
okay.
Like make sure no bad stuff was on them. And then the last one before I bounced from Silicon Valley was at Apple, and I was there almost a year, and after that contract ended, I was, you know, I'd had enough of tech stuff. I wanted a little more beaches and sunlight, and
You decided to move to LA because that's where all the sun is.
I mean, it's all right. I think most people who live here at any lake, it's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah. I mean,
Because there are opportunities here that you can't find anywhere else in the world, but there's a price to pay for sticking around.
yeah, what's that price for you?
I mean, there's the stereotypical things people say, like traffic or whatever.
The traffic is hell. I could agree.
I would say, you know how people talk about New York City? They say there's like New York attitude, right? There's something in LA, I call it LA stank, where people are mean and rude and you have no idea why or where it's coming from.
Right.
And it's just like, I don't know what bug crawled up this person's ass. But, you know, so you got to find a way. You've got to find your zen so that people like that don't get to you.
So how do you deal with it?
How do I do it? I kind of, well, people have a tendency to underestimate me because I don't know. I guess I don't, what is it? I don't show my full hand at first.
Right. Because LA is about a bunch of name dropping.
It's about a name dropping and stuff. You know, you might know me a couple years before you know a lot of the things I've talked about here on this podcast, you know?
Right. For sure. Yeah, for sure. I get it. LA is like that. I mean, they'll look at your shoes, they'll look at your car keys,
Oh,
your
yeah.
phone, you know. It's very, 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 very visually judgy.
Visually judgy. And, you know, in some ways it's fun. In some ways it can be a good stress. It's like, you know, I make more, like, it. It's kind of funny. I used to say about San Francisco, I was a lot drunker and a lot fatter in San Francisco, but I got laid all the time. Here in LA, I've never looked better, but you know. Well, I'm getting laid here. Too, so.
Okay. I was about to say, it's not happening for you in LA? Come on, man. LA.
It's happening, but
It's more judgmental. I could see that.
It's like, you gotta find your lane.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. LA is definitely cliquey. It does have its own lane. But I feel like California in general has like this whole like, judgy, cliquey type of vibe. Doesn't really feel so, like you can walk up to every single person without some type of ulterior motive,
Yeah, it can have a lot of that.
Yeah, you got to have something. You got to know somebody. You got to work with them. Something has to make sense for you just to click over. Where I feel like you can go on the East Coast, you could literally walk into a mall, literally walk to like, and make like 6 or 8 friends walking out. It's just that simple. If you're a friendly person.
That's one thing I miss about like New York City and stuff. I felt like there wasn't a lot of guessing. Like if they don't like you, they're going to be rude to your face.
We're going to tell you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. I don't like you. Why are you talking to me?
Yeah. But in LA, it's like I found the key to knowing who's actually nice or not to you is they have apps that secretly show you who unfollows you on Instagram.
Shut up.
Like, oh.
Need to download that. Need to download that. What's that app? Got a lot of frenemies. What's that?
It's like, oh, this person at that party, they followed me and whatever. They were just talking because 2 days later they've unfollowed you and you're like, all right, well, I guess that's what they mean by those phony fake LA people.
Yeah. What's the app, by the way? 3 times. I'm going to ask you what the app is over and over again.
The app? Oh, I think if you go on the App Store and search like Instagram unfollowers, you can find some good stuff.
Sweet. Yeah. Those are awesome because then you can save those names, write them down. And then once you're a star, you can be like, oh, you're not casted.
All right, so bring the talk back to Beverly Hills Postmate.
Let's bring it back.
I wrote Uber Diva, and then I did DTLA Hustler, which I examined downtown Los Angeles by doing Postmates. And the DTLA Hustler book was originally going to be Beverly Hills Postmate. But I didn't have a car at the time. I was one of those crazy people that's like, I'm going to make LA mass transit work. So like the first 2 years I didn't have a car here because I was like, I'm going to, there's the Expo line. I'm going to figure it out. I'll do Uber. I'll do the Metro. But that meant that writing the book on Beverly Hills at that time was impossible because like you can't, at this point, the Purple Line's eventually going to go under Beverly Hills, but at this point it's pretty hard to reach with just mass transit. Like you basically have to drive there. And I mean, you can take a bus if you want to hang out with a bunch of meth-crazed hobo, or I shouldn't say. If you want to
say what you need to say.
You can take the bus. You can take the bus if you have a death wish, but
right, I get your.
I was like, all right, I was gonna take a look at Postmates, but I was gonna do it on foot, and the only place I could do that in LA really was downtown LA, and it was kind of close to where I was living, and so when coronavirus hit, I needed to buy a car, and I was like, all right, I want to write one more of these gig economy short reads and make it a trilogy. And I was like, all right, I've got a car now, got an electric vehicle, and, it was suddenly, I had all these expenses that come with having a car in LA. Right. I was like, all right, how do I make this car pay for itself? And I was like, all right, I had my eureka moment. I'm like, let's do Postmates in Beverly Hills and just, make a short read about that. Because I don't include a lot of fluff in my books. If I feel like the topic only is worth 50 pages or so, then I'll make it just 50
So what kind
pages.
of juicy topics did you write about? Like, can you give us some examples of the juicy conversations and things like that you put in the book?
From Beverly Hills Postmate, juicy conversations.
Yeah, what's in there? What's in the sauce, man? What's going on? What's in the book?
What's in the sauce?
Give us some leaks.
So we have one chapter where I dedicate it to the best food I found in Beverly Hills.
What's that?
But I was like, there's an economic crisis right now. I don't want to, like, introducing the $300 steak probably won't go over that well. So I have a chapter, it's called Beverly Hills on a Budget, where everything that I introduce is under $30. So we have a bunch of, if you want to splurge on a nice lunch, I introduce some things like, Sprinkles Cupcakes and Wally's. It's a nice restaurant. You can get a nice salad for about that. Things that are under $30. And then I do around the rest of the West Side too.
That's one thing interesting. Like you don't in LA, there's not that much like cheap street food like you would see it, unless it's like tacos.
Yeah,
but there's no like dollar pizza and things like that. Are there more food trucks now in downtown LA?
There's a ton of in downtown Los Angeles. There's something called, well, they're not having it right now, but they would have every Sunday like the food truck festival, and I think it's called the Smorgasbord. That's it, the LA Smorgasbord, and they got like 30 food trucks that show up there. The one that I like the most is called Lobster Damas, and you get some kind of delicious,
like Nostradamus.
Yeah, or it's LA's the home of fusion food culture at the moment, so you can get like Middle Eastern style burritos or
interesting
something like that.
Middle Eastern style burritos. I gotta try that.
You gotta try it. It's pretty good. Pretty good. I recommend it. Other things I discuss in Beverly Hills Postmate. Well, I was doing this during the pandemic, so this is going to be kind of a historical record of what was going on. Because number one, it was kind of a good way to make money, because, like, have you ever, like, you turn that on, and I'm not even out my driveway before you've got somebody pinging you to pick something up. So, like, did you ever watch those documentaries about the grizzly bears in Alaska? And the grizzly bear goes into the river during salmon mating season, and it's just pulling out one salmon after another, and just like, they're just like feasting on all this, food that's like abundance that's available.
Right.
That's what doing food delivery during the pandemic was like, because, everybody needed it. And it was helpful for everyone. And
now you said like it's almost past tense. I still feel like we're still in the whole pandemic right now, especially in California.
We're still in the thick of it, but it seems like there's a light at the end of the tunnel at this point.
Oh, of course. But everybody else is already open. I mean, you see Texas just went full blown, but every other state has been predominantly open, right?
Right. Do you, as a fellow California resident, are you tempted to join the Exodus?
Charles. Man.
I'm
telling
you. I look at Joe Rogan's studio over in Austin, and I'm like, this is a little tempting at the moment.
You're telling me. I mean, I've lived all around the United States, so I definitely know the variances of the prices and how Silicon Valley is the most expensive place pretty much in the United States. So I can easily see them. You can buy like a real crappy house that you can buy anywhere else in the United States, for $100,000 or maybe $150,000 or even less. But here in Silicon Valley, you're going to pay $1.4 million, which is absurd. And you're getting a small yard. You're not getting your bang for your buck, for sure.
You're paying like $2 million for like a mud hut.
It's a shack.
Cardboard box. And then you got to share it with a couple hobos. And
anybody who buys those houses, Charles, I don't know how they don't walk out of there feeling like they got, a bad deal. I feel like it's a bad deal, right? Buying a house in Silicon Valley feels like you got ripped off, right? Until you hit a certain tier where you've at least, brought a house for about like like 2 or 3 million. That's when it starts looking better.
So if you were going to join the Exodus, like I was listening to one of your recent podcasts, and you had a guy who's kind of a digital nomad on, who is working just like traveling the world with his laptop.
Right.
Where would you go if you got the A-OK to bounce from California?
That is interesting. Where would I go if I had the A-OK? I mean, I could take the A-OK right now, but I think there's a lot of things that keep me here. But we'll talk about that in another one. But I don't know, man. I think I would just be nomading out too, man, as well. I think I'd probably be in Colombia right now, maybe in Brazil.
I was thinking Medellin or something like that.
Where?
I'm saying it wrong, I'm sure, but Medellin. It's a hot place for digital nomads in Colombia.
Oh, okay. Okay, the capital. Okay.
The capital is Bogota.
Oh, I thought did you say?
I'm saying it wrong. Medellin?
Or do you mean Medellin?
Well, anyway, Colombia is a hot place for nomads. Portugal, Bali, all those places.
Portugal?
Portugal, Lisbon is hot.
Oh, okay.
It's
Maybe
been
like
hot for a bit.
Spain, Ibiza, things like that. I think
So
there's.
what keeps you here? Why do we do this to ourselves?
I think that, I work in tech, right? And I have, I think the podcast is new, right? So I don't think I have that much energy or buyout to say, okay, well, let me just quit tech. I still love building great things. But there's that energy that I don't feel that's here anymore in Silicon Valley, which is that creativity to build things and to nurture things. There was a rush around the 2012-ish, 10-ish era, and I think that kind of just died out. I feel like Silicon Valley, especially, it was already dying already. I was already saying it, like for the past 5 years. But I just feel like it just got, COVID just sped it up, right? But I think other than that, like what's keeping me here is like, honestly, when I think about where else do I want to live, it's like, well, where else do I want to live? I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
It's just like Texas is too hot, right? Texas is too hot. It's beautiful, a lot of land, but Texas is too hot. And then I'm not sure about, are those, it also matters like what type of people do you want to surround yourself with, right? The only thing I do like about Silicon Valley is that predominantly at the time, if you position yourself right, you have the more probability to run into hyper intelligent people, right?
Yeah.
Somewhat, right? But or what we think. But I think when I moved to like certain places, like maybe somewhere randomly, somewhere around the United States, that quality changes, right? Because it's more concentrated here. I know there's like a big, diaspora to, again, Austin, Texas, and then also Miami right now for the tech industry and things like that. I think those, and even entertainment, I think that's where it's going. But I think for me, I don't know, man. I don't know exactly where would be better because each one has its own pros and cons when I'm thinking about it. Like every place has its own pros and cons.
Well, it's definitely something to think about because.
And I just built like a big studio here, so it's like, do I, I've got to tear things down, and then, but I am thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. I am thinking about it. I am looking. I have Trulia. I have, the apps where I've been, communicating with some of my real estate friends. I'm in Zillow.
Game's on point.
Yes, it is there. So I have been looking. I plan on actually going down to Austin again and checking out some of the properties, seeing if I even like the vibe again. I haven't been there in years. Like the last time I was there was like 2012 for South by South, and I was pretty much working, right? I had a startup at the time, so I didn't really enjoy the scenery. But I remember just going outside of Austin, it was just like nothing. So it was just boring. So it was just like desert. It was boring, and people were just, I don't even want to say anything. It just didn't.
It's probably best if you don't say anything.
I just didn't really get I didn't get really the energy and the intellect. It just seemed like.
You could end up like that Brett guy.
Duh.
From, you know who I'm talking about? The Silicon Valley dude who moved to Austin and went running back to Silicon Valley.
See, I don't think I would be running back to Silicon Valley, right? Because, again, like I said, there are things I don't like about Silicon Valley, but at the same time, I mean, I feel it's a trade-off. It's like
It's a trade-off.
you go to Austin or things like that, well, particularly Austin, big house, land, but now you have who are you hanging around with, who are you associating with daily, and then I have like a bunch of friends here too. So I think those things, weigh in on your decisions a little bit, but you can't live by those, by your friends and things like that and whatever they're doing and their projections of life. But I'm just saying that also keeps you grounded here in other ways. I think that's probably it. But I think like I haven't found a good enough reason to leave.
The reverse of me, because I was like, I've had it with Silicon Valley and I moved to LA. You had it with LA and you moved to Silicon Valley.
Exactly.
What prompted this?
Wow. Did we ask that? So what didn't prompt that? I mean, honestly, I was, I had a startup for like 4.5 years in Los Angeles. I was doing a lot of great, amazing things, red carpets, working with a lot of celebrities, working with MTV consistently. And my startup was growing, but I felt like I kept on getting blocked, by bigger companies, who were partnering with me, then sending me cease and desist. And I was just like, all right, this is MTV would cease and desist. And then just like partner with me the next day. I mean, well, I think there was like content, man, that was similar. you know, and I think they saw what I was doing was kind of threatening, because I was doing things, you know, digitally, where they were still stuck around that era, kind of still with the main television station, et cetera. Now they've kind of trying to push themselves off into, you know, having their apps into, you know, into the Google and the what's it called? What's the Fire TV and stuff like that. They have their little apps attached to that now. So now they're thinking a little bit forward than they were then, because they have to. But at that time, I think they didn't know. LA in general, when I sat down with a lot of investors and a lot of big people in these companies and the corps, whether it was in the music industry, there was a lot of like uncertainty. And I even had, you know, a meeting with Warner Brothers, you know, with the CTO. And he, you know, literally he told me, you know, the reason why I'm taking this meeting with you is because, you know what? Last time we had somebody building some shit, per se, you know, he built something and it was called Napster, and it screwed us up. So anytime we get a whiff of somebody building something technically and asking the questions that you were asking, we have to bring you in here. And I literally was like, oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like that. I was in Burbank.
You were in Burbank. I thought you'd be.
Well, no, I had to go meet them. Warner Brothers is in Burbank. So I had to go meet them at the office, the headquarters there in Burbank, for Warner Brothers. So I went in there, and that was the big meeting. You know, there was like guards and stuff like that. It was really intimidating. I'm like, what's he want to meet with me for? I just asked him some questions about building something. Like, I want this partnership to go through. What is this going on? We could have did this over email. What's going on? And it was a cold room, and it's like a long desk. He was
trying to get a read on you, is basically it.
Yeah. I mean, but he told us. I mean, he told me straight at the end. I mean, I came with two of my business partners at the time. He told us immediately why he brought us in there, you know, and he compared it to, you know, Sean Parker at the time. The kind of questions you were asking seem intimidating, and when we get those type of like questions, you know, we need to bring you in here and see what you're trying to build. And so
you hit a brick
that's where the
wall
conversation ended.
Like, you hit the brick wall, so you went up to.
I just want. Well, that was one thing, right? And another thing is, I felt like I was bored of the whole, you know, the whole personality thing where everybody wasn't sincere and everybody was just faking, and everybody was just.
You needed that Instagram unfollowers app, is what you needed.
That's exactly what I needed. I needed that app. That's exactly what I needed, right?
Back in what year was this that you're doing it?
This was 2012.
2012. So not that long ago.
That's when I left. Yeah, not that long ago. But that was the main reasons why I left. And then immediately, right after I left, a lot of the people that were working with me or working for me at the time, in my startup, they started joining this whole Vine thing. So the ones that were in the face, doing the red carpet things like that, and interviews and things like that for me, they all switched to Vine, and they got with this King Bach and Lily Palms and all this other stuff like that all moved in the same neighborhood. And next thing I know, 6 months later,
Vine people looking at TikTok right now.
I beg your pardon?
How pissed are those Vine people looking at TikTok right now?
I think they are a little bit.
It's straight up Vine 2.0.
Oh, it is. But a lot of those Vine people that originally, you know, that were that core group of people in NoHo, they're still all massive anyways. And they have so many different business models right now, it doesn't even affect them for the TikTok people. Yeah. And I have a friend, her brother, her up here, her nephew he's got like almost like 700,000 followers on TikTok. And so he makes like 10 grand a month. And he's like 17 from TikTok.
Wow, that's incredible.
People are making money, man. I mean, hey, look, some of the people that were working for me
for $12, you can have Beverly Hills Postmate.
There you go. You got to have the Beverly Hills Postmate.
The hustle is deep.
It's real deep. But yeah, some of the people that are working for me, man, they're easily bringing in, you know, 7 figures easily now.
Very cool.
Yeah, they weren't doing that then, but you keep at it, man. You keep at it, and things happen.
I will let the TikTokers, I'll let the kids have that. And I want to bring up with you today, I have some books to give away, if you would like.
Books?
For your podcast, I have 10 copies of Beverly Hills Postmate to give away to your listeners if they can find me on social media at KingCharles0921 and write a comment, say Valdez rocks.
All right, Valdez rocks. Say that one more time. Say your whole URL, your vanity URL again.
My spiel.
Yeah.
So if you'd like a free copy of Beverly Hills Postmate, my new book that was just released. You can have it in ebook or paperback. Just find me on Instagram or Twitter at KingCharles0921 and send me the message Valdez Rocks.
Valdez rocks. And that is cool. Do you rock? Do you play music? Any instruments? You're in LA.
I mean, once upon a time I played saxophone, but that was,
Right. That was back in band camp.
That was back in band camp. Bill Clinton was president. I'll just put it that way.
That was yeah, those are the golden eras. Yeah, for sure. Bill Clinton. Wow. Yeah, man, Bill Clinton. Yeah, presidents, politics, interesting stuff.
Yeah.
That's another thing too, right? Texas, there's the politics, and then even California has the politics, and it's just so they feel so different and variant, and then there's this binary type of are you Republican and Democrat type of vibe. And I had a friend who literally went over to Austin for a couple of months, and she said that she literally was, in a store, and random people would just walk up to her and say, Trump, right? So, you know what I mean? But I mean, I would say probably here, there are people that were just like, everyone was kind of on lockdown, but there was a lot of people when you would write on social media through friends around here, they'd be like, Biden, right? So I did see those things too. So I guess it's kind of that both way, but it seemed very extreme,
There was pretty extreme, but there was Trump supporters protesting in Beverly Hills last year.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I was like, where are you people? Like,
I saw some friends out there. They were, yeah.
And I was like, and I had to call my cousin, get off TV. Just kidding.
I told you to get off the TV. You hear me, Tony? Yeah.
No, but it.
Nah, I feel you, dude. Totally. I could easily see that.
But I don't like.
Everybody knows a Trump supporter and a Biden supporter. So
that you're a MAGA person in Hollywood.
It seems weird.
Unless you're Caitlyn Jenner, you're going to get excommunicated. You will be. I don't know a single person that would openly admit that.
I do.
Unless they were just trolling you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get those people like the station, like the actress Stacey Dash, who's like openly Republican, and I'm like, and you see, she saw her like stumping for the Republicans, and I don't know. Part of me just thinks she was like a Reddit troll, just like looking. To mess with people.
Those people exist, man, where they just say something that's controversial to keep themselves fresh. I mean, you know how LA works, right? LA is all about, if you work in LA and you do in LA is all about keeping yourself fresh in the media by causing these type of like publicity stunts, by saying something controversial, and it keeps some people alive, I mean, I remember like we used to work with TMZ in Los Angeles, and I remember like there'd be like calls from Paris Hilton and her team be like, hey, look, we're going to be going over here, blah, blah, blah. And TMZ, we'd all sync up. And then, we get the order, it'd be late at night, and Paris is supposed to do something. And it was just fake.
Is she supposed to act surprised and be like, that's hot?
Exactly!
Oh, my God, this is my chihuahua. Oh, what a surprise. You people are here.
Right. And the weirdest thing about even her, man, which is really cool. She's a really great person, really cool and everything like that. But I was, I think years back, she had got, I think like the police, like she got arrested like in Vegas years back.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, if anybody kind of knows of her and seen her entourage and see how she rolls and things like that, she's got police officers working for her. So I'm kind of confused. I don't know if I'd 100% know if that was like all an accident or if it was just like, hey, you guys meet me over here. I mean, just based off of things in the past that I've seen and that I was a part of, it's just like, was that real?
So you think she set herself up to get arrested?
You never know. I don't know, but you never know. You never know. You never know. I just know that we were on call in the past many a times to do things like that, but it wasn't police involvement or arresting, but it was things to make things sound like they were accident, but they were fake. And the whole LA was doing that kind of a thing where it was just this fake, surprise that the paparazzi is harassing you, but really they would call them on themselves.
Oh yeah.
So it was just odd.
That is definitely, like, that's definitely a thing. Like, I don't take anything at face value that I see on those kind of TV shows.
But most people do because they don't understand the culture of LA. They don't understand that a lot of these things are just like fake in Hollywood. Some of them are real, but a lot of it's Hollywood.
A lot of it's fake. Like, which couples are just together for publicity and stuff like that.
Don't say any names.
I shan't name names. I don't know. I wish things have been, like, the whole celebrity thing has been pretty quiet lately, though, I'd say. It's like,
I mean, why do you think that?
Everybody's just in their homes.
Yeah, there's nothing to do.
I was desperate. When I was doing Beverly Hills Postmate, I was desperate to have more celebrity sightings than I've had. And, like, a lot of times you're just dropping the food off at their house, so I didn't even know. Like, sometimes I would, like, get paged to go to somebody's house, and it would say, like you get the name there. It might be, like, KDP, and I'm like, am I going to Katy Perry's house now?
Right?
I don't know.
Were you? You didn't
All
know?
I did was drop off the bag.
And run.
And run. Is this name Chloe Sevigny, or is it Chloe Seidenstucker? She might live in Beverly Hills too.
What about different LA celebrities, especially A-listers, driving around in old Hondas from the 80s?
Is that a thing?
That is a thing. I went to a meetup. This was around like 2011. Went to meet up with some friends, and I mean, not just any friends. There was like one of the Jacksons, one of the kids, one of the nephews of Tito Jackson, and I was meeting with them and one of their three, one of their wives and their two other twin sisters because they were like triplets, T-Rio. And
you're like, what has a has-been of your magnitude been doing with yourself?
Yeah, right.
Ouch, that was a little salty.
It was crazy. It was crazy though. I was waiting right there, and I was like, all right, you guys here yet? And I'm texting them and things like that, and I'm telling the guy at the door, he's like, you don't know them. I'm like, dude, seriously? You don't know me, but all right, whatever. So I said, they'll be here in a second. We just need to make sure we're going straight in. And he's like, all right, we'll see what happens. And I was like, this guy's rude. So anyways, they pull up in a Honda, and I'm like, where are you guys at? He's like, oh, we're right here. I'm like, where? They're like, we're right here. We're pulling up right here. You don't see us? I was like, no. Oh, we'll get out right now. They're in a 87 Honda. 87 Honda.
You know who I haven't seen an old Honda celebrity, but I did have an Angeline sighting the other day.
But that wasn't their main car, though, just to add that there.
Oh, okay.
It's their...
Is their incognito car?
Yeah, but there's a numerous amount of celebrities that drive around LA with like really old crappy cars just to kind of stay in the DL, but then there's others that don't. They want to still keep that highlight, but there's a lot of them that do. I know there's like the rapper, like The Game. He drives like a red, or he did. He probably has mini cars, but he used to drive like straight through LA towards the Chinese Theater and stuff like that over there in Irvine. He would drive a Range Rover.
Oh yeah,
a red Range Rover with like red rims, and it was easily noticeable because you would see it always just drive by, and it was easily noticeable. He's like, oh, there's The Game. Okay,
there's The Game. You know who Angeline is, right? The woman who makes billboards of herself all over the city. No, Angeline or Angeline, I don't know which it is, but she's kind of a busty blonde. She's been around since the 80s, and she drives a pink Ferrari. And
I know there's a guy that does that in LA who drives a pink.
There's a dude?
Well, he doesn't drive it. It's not a pink Ferrari. It's like an old pink Cadillac, and he always drives down Hollywood and Vine.
It's something like that. Angeline drives a pink Ferrari, from what I understand.
But that is different.
That is different. But she is like the epitome of Los Angeles culture in that she like carries like her 8x10 photos and like sells them out of her trunk and stuff. But she's kind of a self-created celebrity. She's like the original Kardashian. Because like when she didn't have anything, she put up billboards of herself right at Hollywood and Vine and stuff like that.
How does she afford that?
I think she had some sugar daddies.
Okay.
She had some financing from somewhere.
She had some Hefners on the line. I got it.
So I mean, back in the day, she was a real, she was kind of a sex pot. And I understand. I think on Peacock they're going to have a movie about her at some time soon. But I've been waiting for it just because she's kind of this weird, like, she's this kind of strange, only in LA, someone who's so wrapped up in trying to be famous and trying to be a celebrity that they become sort of a parody of themselves.
Right. Yeah, I don't really care about being a celebrity. I never really liked the whole celebrity thing because of the privacy. You know, having people bothering you, you know, not being able to take walks and the simple things. The only thing good is
celebrity. I was going to be a celebrity, but then I'm like, that's not fair to Brad Pitt because he won't have any jobs.
All right, there you go, Brad.
No, I'm just joking. I was going to be a celebrity, but that's not fair to Paris Hilton. She'll have to sit down somewhere. No, I'm just joking. You know, we were talking about the digital nomad thing and stuff before, but that is like the whole celebrity bullshit thing is part of the attraction to that lifestyle for me, just because everything here is so, well, it can be like phony and ephemeral, and, you know, at the end of the day, is it really worth the effort that you put in trying to be the most, the best, the hottest, the most photographed person? And, you know, I guess my coping mechanism is that I don't take it all that seriously.
Right. You shouldn't.
It's like, at the end of the day, they're all just people too, and they're doing little tricks to manipulate the media into paying attention to them. But I don't know. It's funny.
I don't know.
Anyway,
that is interesting. Like, I noticed that, you know, like, people have egos in LA if you allow them to have egos. Like, if you treat somebody like that, you know, they're going to have it, right? So pretty much unless somebody knows who you are or your affiliation to someone and et cetera, people are going to treat you a certain way sometimes. Not everybody that's a celebrity in LA is going to treat you, you know, like you're just like you're just human and you know, respectful and nice and everything else like that, considerable. But you just don't see it as much in LA. But there are some that do. You know, I would say Jamie Foxx is one of those people. He's very, very, very humble guy. He remembers where he came from. He's always, you know, looking out at, you know, hey, look, that person, I was there. So let me treat everybody with that kind of respect, because you don't know where this person's going to be, you know, in the future, because he's seen a lot of things. And he was talking about this actually on the Joe Rogan show. And it resonated with me because I remember when he hired us to do his whole like birthday party for a friend, and we went all night and partied and traveled around with our whole production team. And I remember we were just like, you know, in Beverly Hills, actually, one of the places we stayed at for original dinner was in Beverly Hills, and it was for one of the women who was on Desperate Housewives. I forgot her name. She came and shook her hands and said, hey, and I was like, I don't really remember her because I don't.
Like Terry Hatcher or something?
She owns like a restaurant there. Yeah.
The famous restaurateur is Lisa Vanderpump. But she wasn't desperate. She's on Real Housewife, not Desperate Housewife.
Oh, well, maybe it's the same
Some
for me.
kind of
I don't even
housewife
watch those. But yeah, anyways, this is what I kind of remember. And, you know, it wasn't something significant to me. But where the big part was is, you know, he came over to us and, you know, said, hey, you know, are you guys good? Is everyone eating fine? You know, did you get all the steaks? Did you get this? Did you get this food ready? You know, how's everybody doing? He made sure that the crew was good. You know, not everybody does that.
Yeah.
But he remembers that. He remembers that. He's a really humble guy. But I think the reason why is because, like I said, I ran into this one episode randomly on the internet when I was looking at other just videos and stuff like that, and had like a little Joe Rogan with Jamie Foxx. I was like, oh, what's Jamie doing? Because you know when you know somebody or you've worked with somebody personally before, there's like this, you know, there's this energy, right? You kind of feel familiar. Right. So you want to check out and see what they're doing because you always want to see how they are. So I checked it out, and he was talking about how he used to throw these parties in LA and how he met all these different celebrities and before they were big, and he would just throw these parties, and how he would do them for like Puff Daddy and et cetera. And he, you know, did this one party for like Puff Daddy, and he said he paid like $500 or some other amount, and Puff was like, or P. Diddy, I don't even forget all the names, but P. Diddy kind of got you know, like excited about him throwing parties because he said he can kind of do it better in LA. So he contacted him and said, hey, I'm going to come to LA, throw me a party, you know? And so, you know, Jamie Foxx was supposedly at the time, as he said, a notorious party starter. So he knew how to get it right. And he said that, there was a bunch of celebrities there that were not who we now know as the biggest celebrities, probably I would say. He said he said he would make sure that people come to the house and they would have to, if they were a singer or a dancer or whatever it is, he would tell them, okay, you have to perform if you come to the house. So he would tell people that. And he said there was a guy, I think I'm trying to remember and tell the story correctly a little bit, but he was like, there was a guy, he was like, he said a guy who came over to him said, yo, B, like, do you do parties like this all the time? Yeah. And he was like, that guy was Pharrell from the Neptunes. And yeah, and then he said, then there was this guy who was like, kind of had a swollen jaw. And he said, all right, he told him to perform, and supposedly he started rapping. He said that guy ended up being Kanye West. Then he said,
you miss parties? I miss parties.
I mean, come on. Like, who doesn't? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, like, kind of what I'm saying is, like, he kind of met, like, he literally, like, at this one party he was just talking about, and he was just like, there was at least, like, 10 big celebrities that we know of now that are massive that weren't anything at the time. Jay-Z was there. He said he wasn't famous at that time, and it's just ironic. So I think he remembers those things. And he said that he also was, like, a video guy. He used to shoot production. He used to shoot videos for parties.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, didn't know that. So I think there's a sweet spot, or some humbleness towards people who do that.
Right. Well, who's got the kickin' parties up in Silicon Valley?
There's no parties up here, Charles. Come on.
Come on, let's go knock on Zuckerberg's door.
Zuckerberg is not having any parties. He's taking care of the kiddies, and he's probably coding right now.
Oh no, he's making it rain on them hoes in Palo Alto. He's like,
him and Peter Thiel.
calling Sergey Brin. Hey, Serg.
I mean, honestly though, who knows what Zuck's actually doing, man?
I'm trying to get my beard like Jack Dorsey, because it's like the bird's nest of Twitter right there.
I mean, Jack Dorsey's a cool guy. I don't think it'd be a bad thing to have the Jack Dorsey beard, It's never a bad thing.
He looks like fucking Rumpelstiltskin right now. It looks like he went to bed under the tree. He went to bed in the Tenderloin 20 years ago and woke up, and he's the CEO of Twitter.
I was going more for, like, the guy off of Games of Thrones.
Oh, yeah, he is kind of Game of Thrones.
The shorter dude that would walk around. I forgot his name.
See, for me, generally, Abraham Lincoln is not a fuckable look, but I don't know. When you've got $1 billion in the bank, maybe it doesn't matter.
So, like, what do you mean, like, as far as, like, software?
Yeah, are you using, like Pro Tools, Logic, Audition?
So, just basic, Logic for the vocals, and then, what do you call it? Final Cut for the video editing.
Oh, you're going to include this video on?
Oh, yeah. You didn't know this nice video of yourself was going to be included here? Yeah, this is a video and audio. Charles. It's going to be nice in HD.
See, I wore my good T-shirt for you, Trojan Athletic.
There you go. But you look authentic. You're ready, man. You're ready. Did you check out I don't know if you even saw some of our videos yet, but yeah.
I was listening to your podcast. But I didn't know about the video thing. So
yeah, because you were emailing me back and asking me that, and I was trying to tell you. I was like, yeah, we're audio and video.
Because if it was just audio, we would have had less problems with the mic, because I have my sound booth for voiceover, and then I have my, like, I don't know. I had to kind of like jerry rig this setup here at the last minute, but
I mean, it happens. It's understood, right?
For podcast editing, I started out with Reaper, but now I'm transitioning to Audition, and I love Audition. It's good.
I use Logic. Use Logic.
I know a lot of people like Logic, for sure.
Yeah, I go straight into Logic, vocals, and just chop there, do the intro and everything else like that there in Logic, and then, attach it to the actual video.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, a lot of work.
How are we on time right now? Because we've been talking for
Actually, we're good on time. We can actually, we can go ahead and jump off in a second. Like, we're good. We got some time in here. I mean, I think there's some mild breakups that we had that we'll have to stitch together. We'll stitch those together somehow.
Don't get me sued by Twitter, okay?
Oh, no. If what's funny?
Not that you would, but
no.
that's the only...
No, but do you know, like, that's funny that you actually mentioned that, because there's actually, I was thinking, like, because I signed NDAs with Facebook and LinkedIn as well, and numerous tech companies that I've worked at as a senior product guy. And the thing is, what I think that's funny is, like, I was always afraid to say certain things, but then I saw a girl who just quit Facebook and only worked for like 3 months, and she was saying a bunch of stuff about how she felt like, that Facebook wasn't, good on diversity and all these other things that I thought you probably wouldn't be able to mention, because I could have sworn that's in that NDA.
That's why I was like, you could see the gears in my head while I was talking about Twitter. I was like, what can I tell him? I don't think they're checking for me really, but
I mean,
I didn't tell you.
This baby gets so popular as it's growing, then they might ring you up. But at that point, you might be making a lot of money.
Well, I only said really. I didn't say anything specific. I only said really vague.
No,
vague stuff.
No, you didn't. You're good. You're good, Charles. You're good. They can't get you for saying that you used to work at Twitter.
Yeah, I just.
And what you did. You didn't go too in depth.
Like, I almost said something bad, and I held myself back. I was like, oh, fuck no.
I mean, I've heard people say stuff bad. Like, there was a guy who got fired, sorry about that. He got fired from, from Facebook as well. He was working at Facebook when I was, and he got fired for having a popular YouTube channel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He had over 500,000 subscribers. And so they just said, hey, why aren't you talking about, this is what he said off of, because he has a kind of like a YouTube channel, et cetera, right? And he said he told them, hey, they brought him into HR and was like, hey, why don't you talk more about us? And he was like, he said no. And then all of a sudden he was told, okay, you have to exit the building, because Facebook doesn't play that. You're pretty much off. Like, when they're deciding to get rid of you, you're out. You won't even, immediately.
Shoot.
Yeah. You won't even know. They're just like, you'll be kind of ghosted.
Yeah, I can imagine that's how it is in Menlo Park.
Yeah, I mean, it's security. It's for safety. They probably don't want people raising hell or making a scene or embarrassing or setting the mode for, the current employees and making them like feel disrupted. Oh, wow, somebody just got let go or whatever it may be. So I can understand.
You can understand.
But somebody hit my car one time and I was really pissed.
At the face in Menlo Park.
Somebody hit my car. It was actually one of the workers there just hit my fucking car.
It was.
I saw him do it, and I was like, dude. I was walking to my car, and he didn't, and then he just walked off and ran in the back, and he went into the cafeteria. I was like, whoa. And so I tried to get the cameras to find out about it, and they just told me kind of what I heard was like, we didn't see anything, so I had to just.
Well, since we have this Silicon Valley connection, I have a question for you. Like, what is your crazy app idea?
Crazy app idea? I don't know if I have a crazy app idea anymore. I think I had some before, but I don't think I have it anymore.
Because I don't have any VC funding or anything. So I'm going to tell you my idea, and if you use it, you're free to use it. Go right ahead. I only ask for 50% of the royalties. Just kidding.
Why not?
I only ask
Why
for
not?
50% of the royalties.
Why not?
Not kidding. All right. How does this app sound? I think we should have an app. I'm tired of those like health and fitness stuff that make you do math. Like, I don't fucking want to do math. So you take your phone and you aim it at the food, and now that AI is good enough, they could probably guess what the picture is by the pixels. How much is it? It tells you if you can eat it or not. And you just take a picture of every food you're about to eat, and it stops you when you're about to eat too much.
That's an awesome app. I wonder if somebody always built it already.
I don't know, but they're going to have to pay me 50% royalties now.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea. Something to help people control their eating habits and to measure it themselves. So they're having to document it themselves.
Without doing math, because
document it yourself. How many carbs did you eat and all that stuff like that?
Weigh this. Did I eat too much broccoli? People have cameras on their phones. Let the phone look at it. Am I eating enough? Do I need something more? And let the phone do the math. We've got a supercomputer in our pockets, but we can't just name it something normal. We've got to name it something weird like Jiggly or something. You know what I mean? All those apps have weird names.
That sounds like a rapper app name. Jiggly? What are you doing?
I actually got it from Well, anyway, Jiggly. Jiggly's our app. So when you come back to LA, we're starting Jiggly. And
Jiggly app. Yeah. Uses AI to tell you how many carbs you got. You know, you've been eating.
Exactly. Because
lose some weight, feel great.
I don't want to add
with
up.
Jiggly.
I don't want to add up fucking macros and 8 ounces of pork and this that.
I don't even know how people do that. I don't know how people do it. It seems so tedious. I'm just not. I'd rather starve before doing that. It's so tedious. It's so tedious. Yeah. It's too tedious.
Sounds pretty tedious.
It is tedious. For me, it's tedious. For some people who can do that, I have so much stuff that I'm always doing and thinking, that's probably the last thing that I think I want to do. Unless it's like a dying health predicament that I'm in, I have to. But other than that, I'll just prefer to say, okay, how can I scale this? Eat certain things that I know automatically don't, cause overweight and can cause you to lose less weight, and do a certain amount of push-ups and pull-ups and things like that. I mean, I literally will have things where I'm walking to my bathroom and there's maybe a pull-up bar, and then there's maybe some push-up weights or something like that. So I'm constantly just try to put into my daily habit so I don't forget, especially since lockdown, morely since lockdown.
Well, gyms are opening up here in LA this week, but I was kind of enjoying this fuck it moment that I'm having because like I usually try to stay in better shape than I am in right now, but
oh man, you're in great shape, man. Come on, what do you mean?
For my age, I'm doing okay, but it's
it could always be worse. It could always be worse, Charles.
Well, it's like you gotta detox, then retox. You know what I mean?
Did you say? Is that like retuck or retox? What is that?
Well, detox, you gotta work out those toxins in your blood, but then we can't even go to the gym right now, so we might as well eat as much shit as we can now. I'm gonna have that spray cheese. I'm gonna have those Hostess Twinkies. I'm gonna eat it all now because once the gym's reopening,
I think it's okay. I think it's okay, Charles. I think it's okay to eat what you want. The problem is moderation.
I'm not good at fucking moderation though. I'm like all or nothing.
Oh no. See, you're all or nothing. I got that. See, for me, I'm a moderation because I could go too crazy. I could lose control, and losing control could be bad. Could be bad. Could be bad for your health. Could be bad for your life.
Could be bad for your health.
Could cause me to have problems later in life. Life is already too hard. Why do I want to make bigger problems? So I think I'm just always going to try to control myself a little bit with my habits. I try to do habit-forming things that can lead me to a healthier, better way of life as best as possible. Try to control that sugars.
At Facebook, you get all those delicious, what is it called?
Facebook, I never had to cook.
You get those craft services. Or I guess craft services in Hollywood. What do they call it there? There's buffets that you get at Facebook and stuff.
I mean, we just said lunch. Lunch. We have free lunch, free breakfast, free dinner. Take a couple home. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Never had to cook.
Which was your favorite one to eat at?
Wow. So we had different days. Different days we gather together with friends and we go on lunch. We're like, hey, where you guys want to go today? And I would just switch with different groups of my team or other people within my larger org. And we would just say, hey, what do you want to eat? Oh, do you want to eat pho? Do you want to eat sushi? Oh, do you want to go? Wednesdays was like the barbecue day. So that was usually when we were off. So we would head over there to get the barbecue sometimes because it was just that line would be really long. But most people.
The thing about Facebook though is you guys are pretty compact over there, because at Google it's like you're like going on the Iron Man competition just to go get your Indian curry that day. It's like you got to organize.
We had so many, but at Facebook we had so many different. There were so many different cafeterias, right? So there's a bunch of cafeterias in each building. And actually, Facebook is really big actually. There's, especially in the Menlos, it's huge. It's not like how it used to be.
It's really spread out. We had to take like a bus to go to different
places. But I think it's almost bigger than Google now, to be honest with you.
All right, well, here's a question for you. When's the last time you've seen an obviously stolen Google bike somewhere in San Jose or wherever you're at?
I would see them in Sunnyvale all the time. I would see him at the Ralph's.
It's like you drive by the homeless encampment and there's like the rainbow bike. And I'm like, I don't think that shuffles here.
I saw them all the time over in Matilda and Sunnyvale. Near the Ralph's.
Or I would see them at the skate park in Sunnyvale. I'd be like,
they were there too.
Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this skater is a child prodigy.
There you go.
Yeah, they are actually.
But you're talking about the skate park near Phil's, right? The coffee shop. stop, right next to the Caltrain in Sunnyvale. Is that one you're talking about?
I'm talking about, oh God, what's the street that the new Apple campus?
Oh, okay. I see. You're back over there.
Or
Okay,
no.
closer to Cupertino.
Wait, I can't remember. Wait, hold on. It'll come to me.
Right.
Apple. Just kidding.
I didn't say that, Steve.
I didn't have the best experience at Apple.
A lot of people I've heard haven't.
I call it rotten apple.
Charles, you're mean, man. You're mean.
But since I've signed an NDA, that's all I'm saying.
That's a thing. That's a good thing.
Like your mom said, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. So this is me not saying anything about Apple.
Being a studious child. That's awesome. That's awesome. Good guy. Yeah, Apple. I don't know. Oh, I'm trying to think about where you're thinking a park is. I'm trying to think where the park is. Is that maybe where that mall is? That older mall that used to be there? It's not there anymore now, but there used to be a mall there about a year ago.
I'm thinking. So I lived off of Fair Oaks.
I used to live off of Fair Oaks. South Fair Oaks.
And the skate park. Okay. Yeah, the skate park is kind of off of Fair Oaks and Maud, I think.
Where is that at? I'm trying to rethink where that is. Because I used to live in South Fair Oaks.
Because Fair Oaks was kind of perpendicular to...
I'm trying to think where you are. Where you were. Where that... I don't...
The Fair Oaks was perpendicular to the 101, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yep. You can keep on going down South Fair Oaks and hit the 101.
I don't know. I'm trying to block out... I tried to block all my Silicon Valley
days. You're trying to get it over with. Does any of your family live here, or are they up in LA now?
They're in NorCal, so.
Okay, so everybody's still in NorCal. Okay.
They're all up there.
Where in San Jose area or?
They're closer to Sacramento.
Town. All right, cool. It's cheaper there. Saxon's not as bad. So yeah, man. So tell us. Let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up. It's been a great conversation. What do you want to tell the viewers?
For the next few days. And I just want to repeat for Vares listeners, if you'd like a free copy of Beverly Hills Postmate, make sure to find me on social media at KingCharles0921 and write Vares Rocks.
You guys got to do it. Vares Rocks. Did you hear that again? Vares Rocks.
Right, Vares Rocks. I will send you either a paperback or an ebook. For the first 10 of you that do that, everybody check out Beverly Hills Postmate by Charles St. Anthony. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you. King Charles Anthony.
Jiggly is at the top of the App Store. I'm only asking for 60% of the royalties, so...
Awesome.
I think it's a deal.
Bojangles. All right, cool, man. So... Charles, it's been great having you on the show.
Yeah.
So that we can make sure that we get all these beautiful recordings from your side. Let's do it. And thank you again.
Thank you. You have a great night.
Ladies and gentlemen,
The Kids in the Room Podcast.
That's right.
Brought to you by Move Faces TV. Let's go.